Alright, let's see. When was the last time I did a video review? Oh, 2.5 years. Well, let's hope I've learned something since then. Anyways, this time I'm going to be talking about Gravity Circuit, which is an indie action platformer heavily inspired by Mega Man X and Mega Man Zero. In other words, it's pretty much the Mega Man X9 that we've really wanted from Capcom being given to us by a different studio. And I mean that in the best way possible. The levels themselves are a lot like classic and X Mega Man games, where you have 8 stages that are uniquely themed after each specific boss, and after each boss is cleared there's a specific end segment that you have to do to finish the game and progress the final act of the story. Unlike those games, instead of getting new abilities through defeating the bosses, they are obtained by acquiring chips throughout the levels and are seen as a collectible that can be unlocked back at HQ to give you a new ability. And like Mega Man X, there's an ultimate chip that gives you every single ability at the cost of taking twice as much damage as normal. The combat of the game is a lot more like Mega Man Zero, with a focus on close-up combat instead of shooting projectiles, as well as a dedicated run button, much like Zero, and an HQ hub like the Zero games. Although unlike the Zero and X games, there's a meter that gives you these special attacks, which you can use after defeating enemies and building up your gauge. There are also passive abilities that can be put on your character by rescuing civilians and going back to a nurse's station and unlocking them through currency you earn in the game. And that is also how you unlock new special moves as well. The combat is a lot more engaging and intuitive than you would see in the X games and in some parts of the Zero games, which really surprised me. You have things where you can knock a guy's shield off him, grab it with the hook shot, throw it back at him, then grab his body and throw it at the next dude. And this is an action platformer, this is not Doom. Another cool thing about this game that differentiates it from Mega Man is that each and every boss stage has a different, unique intro theme when loading in. The sprite work and character animations are really clean and polished, and make for a really smooth gameplay experience as you progress the story. The hookshot mechanic in the game makes for a lot of really cool ways that you can traverse the level and add for speedrun routes, as well as being very useful in how you find collectibles and attack enemies. When it comes to speedrunning, I don't do it very often, usually with games that I either really like or know how to do very well, like Pikmin 3 or the original X games. But after playing this, I found myself speedrunning it and having a really good time just immediately playing back the story again, but trying to speedrun it. The music they have for this game is made by the same guy who does the Eurobeat remixes for a lot of other games, and the overall sound and music composition for this game is phenomenal. And the most important thing is that you can pet the dog. And if you can pet the dog, it just has to be the best game ever made.
I think one of the things that Gravity Circuit understands really well is just the flow of gameplay and movement in a 2D side-scroller. This isn't a bad thing, but a lot of the X games, and pretty much all of Mega Man in general, depending on what series you're on, they all feel very similar for their respective series. And each game never really iterates on the movement or flow of it that much. But something that's really different about Gravity Circuit is that movement is probably one of the things I think was probably worked on the most when developing the game. It's very clear that the movement and the flow for each level is very meticulously thought through, especially when it comes to how you can use your hookshot to gain momentum and just the overall level design and how you can use that built up speed and flow to help with your speed runs and help to just breeze through the levels at whatever speed you want, whether that's lightning fast, going for the fastest times possible in a speed run, or going after every single enemy and just enjoying the level and taking your time. The game also emphasizes replayability a lot. It's very short, you can beat it in under an hour if you really try to if you're speedrunning,
and it just promotes you to go back and go through these levels again and again, especially if you miss some power-ups or collectibles or, the missing persons. And I think that it's all very enjoyable, both ways. It's fun to just take your time and go through the stage looking for every collectible and every missing person. And it's also just really enjoyable to go through it as fast as possible, trying to get your times up for every level. And I think that's what makes a really good game that's replayable. It's something that you can breeze through really fast. It's not like a super long RPG where it's like 70 plus hours. You can go through it in an afternoon if you really want to, but you can also take your time and go through it because the levels are very well designed, especially when it comes to finding the collectibles. I think that focus on replayability is what makes this game really stand out. And what about what I dislike about the game? Well, I can't think of really anything that this game does wrong. It's short and sweet and right to the point. It's a gameplay-focused experience tailored for people who really like games like Mega Man and Shovel Knight. And like I said earlier, it is basically the Mega Man X9 that Capcom never gave us. So overall, I think this is probably one of my favorite indie games of all time, and I think it also stands toe-to-toe with other games like it, such as the original X games, as well as the Mega Man Zero games. Additionally, the sequel was just announced, showing off Cable as a playable character, as well as what looked like a parry technique, which I think is a really cool gameplay addition. And to promote the game, they were giving it away for free on Steam for 2 weeks. And that's just an amazing way to promote the game. I already had this game on PS5 because I got a physical copy, and then I feel like it was about a year ago that it was given away for free on Epic Games, so I got it there. And then they were just giving it away for free now on Steam. So it's a really great game though, and especially on Steam where you can see the reviews, it's very well liked by the community, and I'm really glad it's getting this new sequel. And since it's been announced, it already has 50,000 wish lists on Steam. So this game has generated a community of people that are really interested in these kinds of games. And I'm glad to see that they've carved out a niche for people who are interested in these fun, self-contained action platformer games.
Even if you didn't get the game for free on Steam during the promotion, you can still get it for pretty cheap at other places like Loaded. And I know this is like a full court shot I'm going for here, but if I just so happen to get a review code on Steam for the next game around or before launch, I would 100% run this back and do another review. Because this game has just been so amazing that I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I'm so looking forward to playing Gravity Circuit 2 regardless when it comes out next year. Thanks for watching, have a good one.